How is China infiltrating the Philippines through disinformation campaigns?
Well, when you talk about Chinese influence operation, it's multi-layer. You have the Chinese embassy that's very much active in financing troll farms. So this year, of course, there was an expose by the Philippine intelligence community about the Chinese embassy in Manila paying about 300 million pesos to a company that's running managing troll farms to attack, of course, the United States and the Philippine-U.S. alliance. So that's the element there. You have the Chinese diplomatic community very active in terms of this operation. Then, of course, you have Filipino academics or analysts, or they claim to be academics who are, of course, embedded in several quote and unquote think tanks that, of course, also articulating the Chinese narrative. So they also get support, of course, from the Chinese embassy. And recently, of course, what is being noticed is Chinese influence operation through social media. That's, of course, being conducted from the People's Republic of China. So you can see really well-funded, well-oiled, and of course, multi-layer Chinese influence operation going on in the Philippines.
To what extent do you think private companies in the Philippines are vulnerable to misinformation campaigns or information warfare by China, and how might those companies move to mitigate those risks and vulnerabilities?
When you look at in terms of this Chinese operation being conducted in a pluralistic competitive media environment, you see, of course, the fact that it's kind of the effectivities of Chinese influence operation is diminished by the fact that it had to compete with other, discourse or narratives, especially, of course, in a society that basically looks at, for example, the West, like for example Japan, I think Taiwan, and many European countries. So Chinese influence operation effectivity is more or less mitigated by a competitive pluralistic media environment.
Zooming out from the Philippines and looking at the region more broadly, it's not the only country that is currently facing issues in either in misinformation or in maritime boundary disputes with China. What can the Philippines and Taiwan learn from each other, or what can they work on together to better face this threat that both of them seem to be going through right now?
Definitely, there should be an active engagement of two liberal democracies, two island republics that are, of course, faced by a common threat: Chinese influence operation, and, of course, Chinese aggression and expansion into our maritime domain. In the case of the Philippines, of course, we have the challenge of confronting the Chinese in the West Philippine Sea, South China Sea. And slowly, of course, there's also recognition that Chinese irredentist agenda against China will be a threat to Philippine national security. No less than President Ferdinand Marcos said it, I think it was in August, early August, when he was, of course, in India and he was interviewed, that, if China would attack Taiwan and there'll be a major conflict here, the Philippines will be pulled, dragging, and kicking. So there's also recognition of the fact that we are not only, liberal democracies. Our security is more or less intertwined by the fact that we are neighbors and we are confronted by a common threat: Chinese maritime expansion into the first island chain.